I don't have my laptop in front of me. I don't have nothing with me. I didn't bring nothing over here. We just straight to it. The reason I'm doing this live is because so much easier and quicker to be able to get out a quick live video to keep the activeness going compared to being able to have to go and record a full thing, put it all together, edit each clip, put all that kind of stuff together, put the microphone with the thing. Obviously, the audio is not the same this way. You don't get any microphone. See, the mic's not even hooked up this way. I got to figure out how I can do that properly. But either way, I'm here doing a slight little episode. So welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. It's your boy Bando. So you know how this goes. I'm here to talk about some fight stuff. Obviously, UFC 298 passed. Fantastic card, in my opinion. Better than 297, better than 296. It was a fantastic card from top to bottom. I did my breakdown for the main card. Then I did a review on live, my first ever live episode. I did another, I did my review for UFC 298 on the live episode. And it's weird, I didn't get no people in the live. I think I had one viewer in the live. I'm obviously not going to have no viewers today. It's 7 in the morning. It's about to be 8 in the morning. I'm doing this, try to squeeze one out before work, and this is the quickest way I know possible. So let's get right into this episode for UFC 298. Obviously, like I said, I did the review. So this is not a review. This is potential matchups to make after UFC 298. These are matchups, in my opinion, that make sense for each opponent, each competitor that was on the main card of UFC 298. So let's talk about it. First one, you had Anthony Hernandez. He ended up defeating Roman Kopylov with a third-round submission. Beautiful submission, beautiful win. Might have been a second-round submission. Either way, beautiful win. He was down. He was definitely down against Roman. Roman couldn't keep it going. Couldn't keep it going with the striking. Anthony found a way to get the fight to the ground, like I said, and he got it finished, like I said he would if he got it to the ground. I wanted Roman to win that one. Obviously, if you follow my parlays, we had Roman winning that one, but unfortunately couldn't get it done. So Anthony Hernandez gets the win. So who's next for Anthony Hernandez is the question. Now, when I see a man's skill set when it comes to jiu-jitsu, I want to see it tested even more against the best in the division. Now, in my opinion, one of the best in the division when it comes to jiu-jitsu is Brendan Allen. Obviously, Brendan Allen just got a win over Paul Craig. He's elevated himself to start working to become a top fiver, stuff like that. So he's not looking to fight down. He's looking to fight up. So it's a little difficult. So who does Anthony Hernandez fight? In my opinion, you give him against Brendan Allen's last opponent, Paul Craig. Another great guy who you can test the jiu-jitsu strength against. I think this is a fantastic matchup for Anthony Hernandez, and it really tests where he can stand in the division, right, and where his jiu-jitsu game really is, because Paul Craig's the truth when the game gets to the ground. So I think that is a matchup that needs to be made. So you get Anthony Hernandez versus Paul Craig, and obviously you don't just kick Roman to the curb. Roman lost, of course, but Roman still needs to get a fight too. So if we're playing matchmaker, who's next for Roman Kopylov? Who did I put down? I put Sharabutin Magomedov. I don't even know if I said that name right. The Bullet Magomedov. The dude is the truth. Right, and he can stand. He can stand and strike very well. And you got to get a guy like that elevated somehow. Whether it's against another guy who can strike really well to where you can really test the skill set, the striking skill set of the man. But I think that's the fight to make because Bullet can strike, Roman can strike. This fight's going to be standing up, straightforward, back and forth between the two. I like it. Let's make that matchup next. After that, obviously, you have Merab takes on Henry Cejudo. Merab got it done against Henry Cejudo in the most impressive way possible. The best performance we've ever seen anyone put on against Henry Cejudo, besides, early Henry, losing to Demetrius Johnson and stuff like that. This was the best performance we've seen somebody put on against Henry Cejudo. And I'm not a fan of Merab. That's another thing. I don't even fuck with Merab like that. Excuse me, I don't even know if I can swear on the lives, but I'm not even a big fan of Merab like that, but he got it done. He did his thing. You can't deny when someone is killing it, and he was fucking killing it. I mean, he picked Henry up from one side and took him all the way to the other and dropped him. So, in my opinion, there's only one matchup you make for Merab Dvalishvili, and that is the title shot. There's no Aljamain Sterling at the top of the division anymore. He's completely out. He's making his 145 debut this upcoming month in March at UFC 299. So it's overall, it's one of those things where You have no reason to not give Merab the title shot next. If Sean gets past Cheeto, whether Sean gets past Cheeto or not, doesn't matter. Merab Dvalishvili is next in line for the title shot. Now, I could have my arguments with Corey Sandhagen where he's been and stuff like that, but we know the truth. The champion of that division does not want to fight Corey Sandhagen or Merab Dvalishvili. Those are the two problems in that division for Sean O'Malley. That's why Sean's looking to go straight up. Let me win against Cheeto and go straight up to Aaliyah. It's not going to be that easy. Not going to be that easy. But obviously, Merab's matchup, Sean O'Malley. Now, you sit there and you talk about, well, what about Henry? Henry took off them gloves. You know one thing, when them gloves get taken off, that means somebody is retiring. I think we've seen the last days for Henry Cejudo. Henry's biggest mistake was taking any time off when he was on top of the game. Now, it seems like the only two people who won 2 championships and stuck in the divisions and kept on fighting were Amanda Nunes and Daniel Cormier. Right? Conor wins both belts and he goes to fight the big fights with Floyd and does all that stuff, which I understand the money, the money grab and a run like that. But for Henry Cejudo, there was none of that. Right? You're not the biggest star in the game. You're not the biggest name in the game. You're not the fucking money man. None of that, right? You were just a double champion who was on top of 2 really good divisions. A 125-pound division who was on its deathbed, and a 135-pound division who is now one of the most stacked divisions in all of fighting. Henry chose to retire and then came back when that most stacked division of fighting was at its peak. Right? These guys are amazing fighters. They really are amazing fighters. They're very skilled. The skill sets have changed since Henry was beating up a guy like Dominic Cruz, and it wasn't even that long ago. You look back, that was only 4 years ago, 2020, right? He beat up a guy like Dominic Cruz, and now you look at the division, and the division is as elevated, right? All these guys that weren't in top 10, top 5 are up now. So it changed the game for Henry. Henry should have never left. That was the worst thing that Henry could have done for himself. But I don't know what matchup you give Henry next if he decides to fight. I got him as literally like on my paper right here. Question mark. Because how are you supposed to make a matchup with somebody you don't even know if they're going to be fighting again? And then you think about it, it's like, well, what matchups do you make now? You gave Henry 2 dogs right off rip. Like, you gave him 2 dogs right off rip. You gave him the champion, obviously, because he wasn't going to come back and fight anything less. So you gave him a champion, and then you gave him the number 1 guy in the division. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't bound to be a good thing for Henry Cejudo overall. So I don't know what's next for Henry. Then you move on. Ian Gary beat Jeff Neal in a very, very crappy decision. The fight was boring. The fight was slow-paced. The fight didn't have much to offer. Right? Seemed like Jeff slowed down at moments where he could have been on it, and you saw my review of it. You saw my review of it. I just felt like Jeff Neal could have got going more, and he didn't. Thought Ian did okay, but not. You're talking about you're trying to be, the next Conor McGregor, the next biggest star from Ireland, the next biggest this, the next biggest that. With the way that the fans dislike you, you got to put on performances, man. You got to put on top-tier performances, not these performances you put on against Neil Magny and Jeff Neal. You got to do more than that. But overall, you talk about the next matchup for Ian Gary, to me, is Stephen Thompson. You give him somebody who's long and can strike with him, right? I can see Ian being probably a little bit more powerful on it, but Wonderboy doesn't lose a step when he's in there striking. When he's in there doing what he does best, striking, he doesn't lose a step. So that fight, is going to be a striking matchup. You saw a lot of clinch work and a lot of knees up the middle from Ian Gary. I think a lot of things that wouldn't be successful against a guy like Wonderboy. So I would think that matchup would make the most sense. Ian did not do enough to put on a performance to get him, pushing towards a title shot. So you got to give him a guy like Wonderboy. And if you really want to elevate Ian Gary the proper way, even though, you don't have the biggest fan base behind him right at the moment, you take him against Wonderboy and you put that on a main event fight night. You've stacked so many cards already. You got to give us something on these fight nights. So you make that a main event of a fight night. You see if Ian Gary's got it when it comes to, hanging with the best striker in the division or one of the former best strikers in the division, and then you go from there. But I think him and Wonderboy would be a fantastic fight. Moving on, you got Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, what's next for Jeff Neal? I don't even know what I put. I'm trying not to look. I am really trying not to look, but I'm also really trying to remember. The welterweight division is wild right now. I think this is why I'm forgetting, because the welterweight division, when I was doing this matchmaking stuff, the welterweight division is everybody's booked. Everybody's got a fight, and if they don't have a fight, some of the fights don't make sense. Like, you can't give Usman to Jeff Neal. Usman still, even though he just lost, you can't give him to Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal can't take that fight off a loss, right? So that's a guy up in the top of the division that doesn't have a fight. Bilal is obviously waiting for the Leon fight. You got Gilbert and Jack Della Maddalena. Can't even fucking talk. Jack Della Maddalena. So you have matchups made. You were supposed to have Vicente Luque and Sean Brady. That didn't happen. Sean Brady pulls out due to injury. So now you have Vicente Luque going up against Joaquin Buckley. So let's see what I put. I put Li Jingliang. That's actually not a bad fucking matchup. I even forgot about the own matchup I put on there. I fucking made the matchup and I forgot about it. But look at it. Jeff Neal and Li Jingliang would actually be a really good fight. Right? It makes sense. There's nothing crazy in stake, in terms of stakes. No top 10, no top 5, nothing crazy, no crazy rankings, no, nothing. No, this is going to get you number one contender, none of that stuff. It's just a good fight. I think that would be a great, either, like main event of the prelims on a really good pay-per-view card, or maybe like a, you do that as a really good card, you make that the opener, or you make that some sort of co-main event to a fight night type of thing. Like, yeah, that's a pretty good fight. Fun matchup. Two welterweights that are very skilled and are going to stay on the gas pedal the whole time when it comes to the fight. So I think that fight makes sense. It's hard. Like I said, it's really hard. If you look at the rankings of the division, right? Ranked number 15 is the guy who beat Kevin Lee. And he hasn't done a ton, right? His last fight came out to a draw, I think. So, it's tough to make that matchup the next matchup. You still want to put Jeff Neal, like, in a matchup that is favorable and not one where he's, like, elevating the next guy type of thing. You want to put him in something favorable. So I think him and Li Jingliang would be a fantastic fight. Moving on to that co-main event was Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa. I gotta hurry this up. Gotta get to work soon, but Robert Whittaker, what's next for Rob Whittaker? That's tough. You have options in that division because the middleweight division is always getting shaken up right now. I would say you give Rob somebody like Sean or somebody like Hamzat, depending on what the division is saying. Is it going to be Izzy and Dricus one day? Is it going to be Dricus and Sean on the rematch? Is it going to be Izzy and Hamzat? I don't know. But Rob just won against Paulo Costa, and you got to give him a good matchup. Now, him and Hamzat would be a fantastic matchup because we already know Rob the Reaper is a wrestler's nightmare. Worst nightmare. The man's takedown defense is phenomenal, and he makes you pay every time you go to take him down. So I think that would be an interesting fight. Him and Sean Strickland would be very interesting, too, because it would be a different fight. Sean brings a very awkward, different style to the game, and so does Rob. Rob has a very unorthodox style that he brings to the game as well. So I think that would be a really good matchup, but you have to give him something that's favorable to pushing him back to a title shot. Think about the way that it would be, man, if Rob Whittaker worked himself back to a title shot, got the title shot, gets the win off Dricus du Plessis, the man who beat him to get the number one contender, and becomes champ again. In a perfect world, I said when I was watching 298, in a perfect world, Max Holloway and Rob Whittaker are champions again. But MMA does not give you a perfect world. Your world will get flipped on its axis real quick. When I saw my mans lose right here, brokenhearted. Brokenhearted, bro. Brokenhearted. Anderson Silva, brokenhearted. Jose Aldo, brokenhearted. You would think I'm Brazilian at heart with all the Brazilian favorites I've had growing up. So many Brazilian favorites that I've been rocking with since coming up that you would think that I'm Brazilian at heart. But, boy, Italian. There's just really not that many Italian guys to cheer for. We're going for Marvin Vettori? Come on, Marvin. Step your game up. Step your fucking game up. Get me a big win. No, Marvin Vettori is also a middleweight that is always kind of in the realms. So if you made something like Rob and Marvin, it wouldn't make a ton of sense. But you know what I'm saying? He's always somebody that's in the realm. So if you need to make a matchup, you need to make a fight quick, you can do something like that. You got a matchup that Paulo Costa needs too. Paulo Costa's already fought Marvin Vettori. They fought at 205 at a catchweight fight. I think that would be a good 185 matchup on a main card or something like that. I think that would be a very good matchup. But I actually have Paulo Costa down for Jared Cannonier because I think him and Jared Cannonier would be a phenomenal fight with style. The way stylistically that they are, it would just make a lot of sense. And then moving on, you got the main event. Obviously, Ilia Topuria knocks out Alexander Volkanovski. What's next for Ilia Topuria? Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, there's no other fight to make in 145. To me, you don't wait for Max Holloway to fight this fight against Justin Gaethje. This can go, it might not go Max's way. And if it does, why would Max take the win and then go back down to 145? You took a win against a top guy at 155 in Justin Gaethje. You best get on your gas pedal and fight more 155ers, because I think there's no point of going back down to 145 if he's making a healthy 155 and he's doing it well. He's looking clean. He's beaten. If he beats Justin Gaethje, there's no point in going back down to 145. So in my opinion, Ilia Topuria should go up against Volkanovski. If you're trying to give Volk some time, right, maybe a 6-month type of, not a suspension, but just 6 months off, you know, give the man some time. He's one of the most active champions we have had in recent years. He was consistent as fuck and always put on good fights. So you give him some time off. I mean, you give him some time off and Aaliyah wants to run something. You see what happens with Yair and Brian. Now, I get it. If Brian wins, you don't really see Brian, you know, in a title shot. But if Yair wins, it's hard to deny. You give the man back that position, see if he can do it again. It's against a more of a striking-based competitor in Ilia Topuria. Doesn't have to worry about much being mixed in. Volk had a fully mixed game against Yair. So it could be interesting, but I think the rematch needs to happen. I think, like Volk says, put that boy in Spain. Let's get that big main event going. Let's get the whole world locked in. Let's sell out a show in Spain and make something happen. Ilia did his thing. Ilia got it done. You know, there's nothing you can say. You can't take nothing away from Volk. You can't take nothing away from Ilia. You know, Volk, one of the best featherweight champions, if not the best featherweight champion we've ever seen, obviously. Hard for me to argue when I'm a Jose Aldo fan, but, you know, he definitely did his thing in this division. And we never know if it's over yet, but we've seen, you know, we've seen champions fall like this. We've seen champions fall like this, and it's a lot of times they don't come back up, and which sucks. You want to see Volk hit the rise again, but that's why you give him that rematch. So put that rematch together, get that happening. But your boy wanted to hop on and make play quick matchmaker. So that's what it is. Live episode with nobody in here on the live. I appreciate you guys for not watching. No, I'm kidding. You get what you get. You hop on at 8 in the morning, you're probably not going to get a damn fucking viewer, but it doesn't matter. I'm staying active, right? So besides this little live, I am actually doing a full breakdown, an actual recorded episode, edited episode, everything, a breakdown of UFC Mexico City, because that's a fantastic card as well. So I will catch you guys on that episode. You already know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification button if you're interested in these videos, if you like them. That way you know the next video is coming out, and you know when I'm coming live, all those kind of things. So you know, I'm going to keep you up on your info for MMA stuff all throughout 2024. That's a promise. Because of that, your boy Bando, it's going to grow. He's going to grow with the comment and kick. We're going to grow. We're going to grow, and I'm growing for you. And guess what? We're going to win parlays. No, I'm lying. We ain't winning shit. We ain't winning no parlays. But you're gonna bet my parlays. Oh, listen to this real quick before I hop off. So I gave my boss, right? I did like 12 fucking parlays for UFC 298. I give my boss one parlay that I don't happen to take, and it hits. So maybe that's it. I'll give you the parlays. I won't actually bet on them, and they'll win. And you can win some money, and then you can come tell me about it. I won't win nothing. You can win some money, and then just come tell me about it. That's all I need. That'll make me happy enough. I guess I don't need to win no money. All the bets miss, but if somebody else wins, that's good enough for me. So, but either way, I appreciate you guys for sitting through this. If you end up, watching it after the live episode, if you watch it as a regular episode, I appreciate you. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Your boy Bando is out. Peace. Boom.